I'm Rabbi Gary Fernandez, head rabbi of Synagogue Beth Israel here in the city of Sanford, a Sephardic Kehilat. And I'm here today to talk about the staff of Moses. We all know, we've seen in paintings and of course in many movies that Moses has a staff. And it's a type of a shepherd's staff, as some people would call it. But what's interesting is, and hardly ever spoken of, is where did he acquire this staff from? We can assume that he acquired it in Midian because of his duties as a shepherd there for Jethro. But how did he really acquire this staff? We again go to the famous book of Hayashar, which is of course mentioned in the book of Yehoshua in chapter 10, and it is not a book on commentaries, which commentaries are wonderful because we do learn from many of them in the Talmud, Midrash, Mishnah, so on. But we're talking about a book of history, and it's quite interesting how he acquires this particular staff. It is stated about this staff, this particular staff, that the first one who wielded the staff, or who actually held the staff and utilized it, was Ha'adam, of course, Adam, in Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden. And this, of course, all information coming from the book of Hayashar. And that Ha'adam, Adam, when he was told to leave the garden, left with that in hand, that staff in hand. Of course, that he was able to pass it down to Set. Set was able to turn around and pass it down to Noach. Noach turned around and passed it to Shem, and Shem passed it down to Avraham. Avraham to Yitzhak, Yitzhak to Yaakov. Okay, and of course, it wound up then in the hands of Judah. Okay, now this is really interesting because it's now in Misraim, it's in Egypt, okay? And now the one who winds up acquiring it from the hands of the sons of Jacob winds up being Yitro, Ruel. He is a counselor and, of course, one of the head warlocks of Pharaoh at the time. And the reason that he winds up with it, of course, not being a follower of the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, he has it in hand because it is an incredible collector's item. Everybody at that time knew that that staff belonged to the very first man on this planet. And so it was a fabulous archaeological wonder, let's put it that way, and a good thing to have. Like today we have a lot of collectors that collect all sorts of collectibles, and because of that, well, they have some pretty important items, and some of them very, not just rare, but very costly because of the fact that they are so old and kept so well. Well, anyway, so with this in hand, that puts his Ruel Jethro's collection at its peak. He also was a warlock. He was well, basically a male witch, right, is what a warlock would be. And he had a garden behind his home. And behind his home is where he would go and he would pray to his gods. And it got to the point that when he acquired this particular staff, he placed an enchantment upon it to be able to, and stuck it into the ground. And the reason he placed an enchantment upon it is because he already knew that it would become time soon enough for suitors to be arriving at his home asking for the hand of Zipporah, right? So his oldest daughter. And it turned out that this particular enchantment was to say that whoever would be who could pull this out of the ground would be the one who Zipporah would have to marry, rather. And then so now we come to, of course, the Torah, for instance. In the Torah, it states that Moses winds up in Midian. Moses saves the daughters of Yitro, and in doing so, they bring him over to Yitro, and when they bring him over to Yitro, their father, he becomes so wonderful and happy, right? But it doesn't tell you all the details. It kind of jumps around because Torah does that. Not that it jumps around backwards and forwards. As it's going forward, sometimes Torah leaps to certain events in the future and doesn't really tell you every single detail because it couldn't. There's just no room to tell you every single thing. That's why in the Torah and in other books of the Tanakh, it tells you about other books that are that it mentions in it that are actually outside of it. There are actually 13 books altogether. Now, getting back to the book of Hayashar, what happens is that it states in the book of Hayashar that Moshe comes upon that garden of Ruez, of course, Yitro. And that when he comes upon that garden, he happens to take a look and he sees something that catches his eye. What catches his eye is he sees this staff sticking out of the ground, except the staff is in 100% pure sapphire. So now you can imagine, nice big sapphire ring or brooch that has a sapphire, but an entire shepherd's staff style piece of precious stone. That's got to be awesome, amazing to look at. Big piece of sapphire. So he goes over to see this wonderful, gorgeous item. When he goes over to it, he notices that on the side of it, it has the letters Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Of course, those are the Hebrew letters that represent the name of the Eternal. And he sees those letters, and of course, he was reared as a Hebrew in the palace of Pharaoh by his mother, and he knew his family, too. So he grabs this staff, and when he grabs the staff, it comes out. He pulls it out of the ground easily, but it turns right back into, once again, a piece of wood. It turns into a normal staff. This, of course, has him perplexed, and so as he's wondering what's going on here, I mean, this is totally amazing, mysterious, and outrageous what's happening here. He continues to go and tend the flock, and then goes and, punches out for the day and gets dressed and bathed in the whole 9 yards, ready to have dinner in the evening with Ruel, Yitro, in his tent with the daughters. And when he arrives with that staff in hand, Ruel sees that he's got the staff and becomes increasingly and exceedingly excited and happy at the arrival of Moshe. And that's when he turns around and says, I'm giving you Sephora. So anyway, that's the very incredibly short version about the staff of Moses. And if you have any questions, hey, email us. And we'll be happy to be able to converse with you further. Or give us a call. All the information is on our website, www.bi1948.com. Again, www.bi1948.com. Shalom.